I got some money from the Canadian government just for filing my taxes, and I only worked part-time for a few months. If you're an international student in Canada and you're not filing your taxes yet, you could be leaving thousands of dollars on the table. Or even worse, it could destroy your permanent residency application in the future. Hey everyone, if you're new here, I make videos to help international students thrive in Canada. Today, we're talking about something very crucial that over 60% of international students ignore, and that is tax filing. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be running to file yours. So, let's get into it. First, let's bust the biggest myth that keeps international students away from filing their taxes. It is the myth of I didn't earn enough or I didn't earn any income, so I don't need to file my taxes. That's wrong. Here's what most students don't know. You should file your taxes whether you earned any income or not. Filing your taxes isn't just about what you earned, it's also about what you are eligible to receive. Whether you made $0, whether you worked part-time, whether you only had scholarship throughout your studies, or whether you only arrived 3 months to the end of the year, you should file your taxes. Do you know that the Canada Revenue Agency, CRA, uses your tax filing to determine what you are eligible to receive? Talk about benefits like your GST, HST refunds, and also other tax credits. No tax returns, no benefits, because that's the only way CRA will calculate what you are eligible for. And yes, as an international student, you are eligible for certain things that the government gives out in Canada. It is not just for permanent residents and citizens. As long as you're a resident for tax purposes, you are eligible for some of these benefits. Guess what? The deadline this year is April 30th. You should run fast and file your returns as soon as possible. Now, let's talk about some of the benefits that you get as an international student when you file your taxes in Canada. First is your GST and HST credit. The GST HST credit is basically the government giving you the money that you paid on sales tax when you purchase your everyday needs like groceries. So they give you that credit to clear off a portion of that tax on everyday purchases. As at 2026, a single international student can earn as much as $519 annually, which is usually paid quarterly. So that's about $130 every 3 months. And this is usually paid straight into your bank account if you had set up your direct deposit with CRA. If you made less than 10,000 Canadian dollars in a year, you are most likely going to get the full amount. Benefit number 2, your tuition tax credits. Now, even if you don't owe taxes, when you file your annual taxes, there is a portion for the amount of money that you paid for tuition for that year. Guess what? That money is usually carried forward as many years as possible until you start earning your full income. So all the money that you've paid for in tuition fee can generate some tax credit for you in the future when you start earning and working full time. Now, this credit is carried forward year after year until you're ready to apply it to reduce your taxes in the future. Think about that for a minute. That's a huge benefit for you. So, say for example, over the course of your studies, say 2 years, you paid 30,000 Canadian dollars in tuition fee. You could be getting up to 4,500 as tax credit. Now, that 4,500, you can use it to reduce your taxable income in the future when you start earning or working full time. Benefit number 3 is the provincial benefits. Provinces like Ontario and British Columbia have certain tax credits that they give to their residents, including international students. And some of these tax credits, for example, in Ontario, can be used to reduce your rent and energy bill. For BC, it is a BC Climate Action Tax Credit, for example. Benefit number 4 is you getting actual tax refunds. Most international students work part-time in minimum wage jobs. So as a result, your employer is likely to withhold taxes that are higher than what they should normally withhold. At the end of the year, If you're an international student and you earned less than 16,000 Canadian dollars, for example, you are expected to get your tax refund in full of every tax that was deducted from you. I have a friend who worked $15 an hour part-time and they got a refund of about 890 Canadian dollars. I have another friend who also got up to 1,140 Canadian dollars in tax refunds simply because they didn't earn up to $16,000 in the tax year. Whatever the employer had deducted while you were working, it is refunded to you. Now look at that. That's like extra cash in your pocket. Having touched on the short-term benefits, let's dive into the long-term benefits and how this impacts your future in Canada. One of the long-term benefits of filing your taxes is for your PRO application. When you're applying for your permanent residency in Canada, IRCC might require you to show your tax documents as part of your application. You might be required to show at least 3 years of your tax returns and notice of assessments. The notice of assessment is a document you get after filing your taxes. The notice of assessment shows that you were legally in Canada, that you complied with Canadian laws, and that you have financial history and stability. Now imagine missing filing your taxes for the first few years or the first year as a student. How do you make up for that? Missing your tax returns and applying for permanent residency is a red flag for the IRCC. As an international student, you need to start building that file right now. File your taxes every year, even in that first year where you barely earned any income in Canada. Long-term benefit number 2 is your credit history. If you want to rent a better apartment, you want to buy a car, you want to get a credit card in most cases, some of these landlords and banks would ask for your tax history. Seeing that tax filing history proves to them that you're financially responsible and established in Canada. Long-term benefit number 3 is the RRSP contribution room. Here is something nobody tells you. Every year you file your taxes, you build your RRSP contribution room. The RRSP is Canada's retirement savings plan with lots of benefits and advantages. That contribution room that you build as a student, you can use it in the future when you start earning big or working full-time. This would help reduce your tax significantly. Now, let me answer some of the frequently asked questions that most international students ask. The first question, can I file my taxes if I arrived in, say, September 2025? The answer is yes, you should. You should file your taxes for September to December 2025 because as at September 2025, you are already considered a resident for tax purposes in Canada with your study permits. Question number 2, what if I have scholarship or financial aid? The answer to that question is yes. Even if you have scholarship, even if you're on full scholarship or you have financial aid, you should absolutely file your taxes. There's a form that lets you fill that in as scholarship because most scholarships in Canada are not taxable. Plus, filing your taxes would also qualify you for the GST/HST tax credit. If you had any scholarships or financial aids, you have to fill the form T4A. That will be the form you use to file your taxes. Now to the next question, do I need an accountant? The truth is, for your first year, you really do not need an accountant because as at your first year in Canada, your taxes as an international student are usually not complicated. Most of the time, there are free tax clinics everywhere in Canada. Even your school might have a free tax clinic where they help international students to file their taxes for free. Also, the CRA has certified free software for people who want to file their taxes for free. One of such software, which I have used also, is called UFile. The UFile tax software will help you with a step-by-step guide on what is needed for every section, so it's easy to use and no complications or ambiguities in using it. Another common question that people ask is, what documents do I need to file my taxes? There's a checklist of documents here that I'll attach and that would guide you on what you need. Things like your SIN number. If you worked at all, you will need your Form T4 slips from your employer. For scholarships and grants, you need the Form T4A. For your tuition payments, you need the form T2202. It's usually issued by your school when it's tax season. And then if you're renting a place, you need your rent receipts as well. You also need your study permits and also your banking information for direct deposits. It's advisable to set up your direct deposit as soon as possible because that is where your refund goes directly into. Another question that people ask is, can I deduct expenses? International students generally are not allowed to deduct general expenses, but you can deduct your moving expenses. Say you moved from one province to another to get closer to school, you can deduct that expenses. If you have children as an international student, you can deduct childcare costs. And then for those with disabilities, you can also deduct your disability support expenses. Another deduction is tuition and textbooks. That is usually reflected on your form T2202. And the last question people ask is, what about the income that I earned from my country? So from your home country, if you've earned income from there, you are expected to also report it to CRA. That is called worldwide income. You can report that as well. However, most international students report only their Canadian income on the tax filing. So how do you actually file? Gather your documents, use a tax clinic. Most of them will require appointments, sometimes virtual, sometimes in person, and they will use your documents to file your taxes. The list of the documents required would be attached in the description box if you need a refresher for that. Make sure you file and track. Always save your confirmation number when your filing or your returns have been submitted. Usually, your notice of assessments would arrive as soon as your filing has been received by the CRA and your filing has been reviewed. So you get your notice of assessment. Make sure to always keep your notice of assessments in a safe folder that you can refer to in the future. Now, before we wrap this up, let me save you from the common mistakes that people make every year. First of all, do not miss the deadline for filing. Every year, the deadline for filing is April 30th. Make sure that you file on time and do not miss this deadline. You could end up paying interest or penalties and a lot more if you miss the deadline for filing. Also, late filing means late benefits. So when you're supposed to receive payments for certain things, you might not be able to receive those credits from CRA. Mistake number 2 people make is not claiming tuition credits. Never you file your taxes without claiming your tuition credits. It's a lot of money that international students pay for fees. Make sure that your tax returns reflects the tuition amounts you paid for that year. Do not miss it for anything. Mistake number 3 that people make is filing as a non-resident. As an international student in Canada, you are a resident of Canada for tax purposes. Make sure you're choosing the right option when filing your taxes. Choose the option that says resident. That gives you more benefits. Mistake number 4. This mistake, people make it all the time, and I beg you, do not make this mistake. Mistake number 4 people make is not keeping copies. Every year when you file your taxes, make sure to have a folder for every year you file taxes. For me, I have a folder that I call taxes, and inside that folder, I put different years in that folder, and I put all the documents that I use to file taxes for each of these years in their folders. The notice of assessments, I keep them in these different folders as well. That way, I can keep track of my tax returns, especially if I need to use it in the future. But you never know. And if you do not keep your records, when you need them in the future, you're just going to be scampering. So make sure to keep your copies very safe. The last mistake people make is ignoring their provincial returns. More often than not, when you're filing your taxes using these free online softwares, especially on the CRA portal, you are also going to be filing provincial returns automatically. But if you choose to do it on your own, just make sure that you do not ignore your provincial tax returns. Here are some of the quick updates that you need to know for your tax filing for this year 2026. As you know, for the year 2026, your tax filing will be related to the activities of the year 2025. One of the updates is increased GST HST credits. The government has enhanced the GST HST credits. Single students can earn up to $519 per year. That is not to say that you are going to earn the full amount. That is the maximum amount for GST HST. Number 2 is related to your digital services tax. If you are an international student and you work on DoorDash, Uber, and the likes, you are expected to report your income from those sources of income. And then for number 3, it has to do with housing benefits. Lots of provinces now have benefits when it comes to rentals. Make sure to check your province and what applies to your province. All right, so if this video helped you, click on the subscribe button, like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Let's do a quick activity. If you have filed your taxes for the year 2026, comment filed in the comment section and I'll drop a surprise comment for you. Subscribe to my channel, please. Share with your friends. I share a lot of valuable insights on my channel based on my experiences and things that I wish I had known as an international student. In the description box, I've put together a complete list of resources that will be valuable to you concerning this topic. Here is your action plan for this week. Make sure to get your SIN if you haven't gotten it. Make sure to gather all your documents. The document checklist will still be in the description box. Book an appointment with a tax clinic or use the software online and file your taxes. Also, if you want me to create a step-by-step guide of how to use this free software, comment tutorial in the comment section and I'll do a step-by-step video of how to file your taxes using these free softwares. If you want more international students tips, I have other videos talking about managing your credit as an international student. The link will be up here to take you directly to the video. I also have a video on choosing the best master's degree, if to go for a thesis-based or a course-based master's degree. And other tips that have helped me thrive as an international student. Go through my playlist on studying in Canada and you'll see valuable videos that would help you as well. Thank you so much for watching, and until my next video.